I'd like to bring the August 21st, 2019 meeting of the Interboro Board of School Directors to order. Do we have a roll call, Ms. Corwell?
Ms. Fagan? Here. Ms. Alonso? Mr. Goldsboro?
Here.
Ms. Verricchio? Ms. Joseph? Mr. Harris?
Here.
Mr. Evans?
Here.
Mr. Chabon? Mr. Phelps?
Here.
We have a lot of absentees tonight. Sorry about that. Yes. Mr. Evans, can we have the invocation and the pledge?
Heavenly Father, please hear our prayer. Bless all schools, colleges, and especially the Interboro School District. And grant to this board in their deliberations this evening the spirit of wisdom, truth, and knowledge. What is undertaken always be done in charity and in peace, and what we do might be for the benefit of others. All this we ask in your name. Amen. I'd also like to take a moment of silence for the family and loved ones of Denise Organ, a long-standing employee of the district, most recently the administrative assistant to Mr. Mills down at the Norwood School, who passed away suddenly after a short illness. So make sure you keep her family and loved ones in prayer. Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
That's our first, Mr. Thurdy Dobie.
I defer to the second place person.
Will you still wish to speak afterwards, sir?
Yes, please.
Okay, just so I know. Second, we have Teresa Long.
Hi, Teresa Long, Seminole Avenue, Norwood. I'm a lifelong Interboro resident. Some of you know me and some of you know that. And in my retired days here, running one morning and talking to Chuck Ellis, who graduated a year before me from here, I realized he was retiring, and I'm sure you all did your thank yous and this and that, but I've crossed Chuck's path many times in different roles here. And in 1980 or 81, you have to check your records, Interboro started a girls lacrosse program. And I was still in college and I was hurt due to an injury, and they called me about coaching, and I said, I know nothing about lacrosse, I'll bring you a coach and I'll be an assistant. I don't know if Chuck was in charge of the field at that time or started in another way. But then you fast forward, and when my kids were born, I was 11 years, I ran Norwood Athletic Club. And Chuck and John, you know, the fields, of course, they were Norwood fields, but Interboro used Norwood Park for middle school baseball, okay? And Interboro used Prospect Whitmer Field for 9th grade or JV baseball. And Interboro used Manor for softball. And the fields were just always meticulous. And then fast forward a little bit more, and I was a Buck parent. My sons played football and baseball, and the fields, again, were just beautiful. And then now I currently am a basketball assigner, and I have no affiliation with any of the clubs, but I send out the refs. And it just amazes me that when I see in Rose Tree Media that they cancel Saturdays because of snow, or they cancel things, that Chuck and John have lots clear, and I can send my refs out. And then the most recent time was this spring, and I think it was a last minute thing because your girls softball team had to play a game in the daytime, and then they played Pencrest that night at Glenolden Park. So I went to the game. It was easy for me. I could see my Pencrest girls right up the road from where I live. And the parents were just amazed at how, you know, the field got ready, and they overheard somebody saying like it was a last minute thing. And you know, I just thought that was really something, because in Rose Tree Media, where I just retired, there's 8 guys that work outside, and there's only 1 extra building. So I think there's 6 buildings here, and there's 7 there, and we have 2 guys. And this is no disrespect to John, who I also see when I'm doing my run, but it's probably going to take 2 people to replace Chuck Ellis. And I'm sure you guys all thank him, but I just wanted to come. I'm big on thanking people. So that's all. Positive things. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And Mr. Zerdy Dobie.
I'd like to thank Mr. Goldsboro. After last month's meeting, he spent a few minutes to explain the parking lot tax issue. Spent a few minutes. Despite the claims of Mr. Angelos about the advertisements that were in the newspaper about the gross receipts. Now, I knew that there was that it was a portion or a percentage of the gross receipts and then a percentage of that amount. But the fact that Mr. Angelos was unable or unwilling to explain that says a lot to me about, our current council. The fact that it was placed in the newspaper, and there were a number of times that it was in the newspaper, and I also pointed out that there were differences in the amount that was mentioned, the percentages. And even Mr. Goldsboro couldn't explain that in the ads. Now, the person whose name is at the bottom of each of those ads is Mr. Evans, as the secretary. So I just want to thank you again for taking a few minutes to do that, even though my representative I hope that she would have been able to, but didn't. So is that a non-issue now, that you're not going to go after the private owners of parking lots to raise their tax rates?
At this time, Mr. Dobie, it's been tabled. We're not pursuing.
Okay, so it's not something that you're considering right now?
No, sir.
Okay, that's good. I think that should remain that way. I asked at the workshop meeting about the lunch bills and the debt that there was. Do you have a figure for that?
Yes.
And what is that figure?
It's approximately $40,000.
$40,000?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And on the number 17, which is the bond issue, again, this is if Mr. Fubio could answer this question. Does the board need to approve an advertisement for a bond issue that you're going to do that? And the reason I'm asking that is because it was on their website about that there was a workshop meeting on Friday, August the 16th, in which the bond issue was going to be discussed. The notification in the newspaper, the Daily Times, appeared on August the 16th. But the meeting doesn't start till 7 p.m. in the evening. But the paper was delivered at least to 5 a.m. on August the 16th. So can you do that as a solicitor for the school district on your own without board approval, authorizing a publication? Is there a law that says that you don't need the board, that you can agree with the finance director, because that is how it was presented, that the finance director and the Raphael Pupio, the representatives, authorized, and that your law firm took care of that ad. So do you have any, is there anything that you can explain to me? Because in the past this hasn't happened.
Elaborate on that, Mr. Rubio. What he's talking about is there had to be an ad in the paper placed before we had the bond discussions. It's not for the bond itself, it's basically the discussion of it, if I'm correct.
My understanding, Mr. Dobie, from the conversation with the finance director as well as the superintendent's office and the financial advisor was that the board was going to be considering that matter. In order for the board to consider that matter and move forward, there had to be an advertisement placed in the paper, which, as you're indicating, was done in a timely and correct fashion.
Okay, but you don't need the board to vote on that advertisement?
No, sir.
Okay. And so, also Mr. Angelos at the last meeting during the solicitor's report mentioned the number of appeals. Now, I don't know whether there were appeals in court or not. So I'm asking you if you have the information that you could provide the docket number, the name of the plaintiff, the name of the defendant, and the property in which this is located. And if you would provide that according to the sunshine laws for things that are revealed or discussed in an executive session, which I'm sure they were, brought to the attention of the board if there was a lawsuit. So I would appreciate that if you would provide that information according to the sunshine laws.
I can provide that information to you, sir.
And again, I'm going to raise the issue of the bond issue itself is you're supposed to be having savings. Now, the airport agreement, they're going to make, according to the agreement, September is the upcoming payment for the fixed guaranteed payment.
Mr. Dovey, just so you know, sir, you're over your 5 minutes. I'll give you one
Well,
more minute, just kind of wrap it up if you can, sir.
Well, this is important. You're
I know
losing
it's
money.
important. Everything's
You've negotiated away $15 million of money that should have been coming for the children's education, Mr. Phelps. And I bring this up because Mr. Angelos said that he was one of the negotiators for the school district. Now, if he was the negotiator, I just want to know how you can negotiate away $15 million of children's education money and justify it and have the school board approve it and not go after that money in the distribution of that money. So I'm asking Mr. Pupio if you know the judge who approved the airport agreement settlement.
I don't know off the top of my head, but I can certainly take a look at the document to indicate which judge ordered that, sir.
And so the reason I'm asking is because in the agreement itself, the last paragraph in the thing that I'm disputing, which is the fixed guaranteed payment, it says the tax authorities covenant that in the event of any dispute among them, concerning the allocation of a fixed payment, they shall not involve the city in any way. And that's my contention. I go to the school, to the township, and I request them to return the money according to the tax rate. Because divided equally makes no sense. There's no reasonable explanation as to why that fixed payment should be divided equally. The school district is losing money at the rate of $800,000 a year. That's a lot of money. So far, they've lost more than $3 million. And to make no effort to address the township or the county to adjust that figure makes no sense to me. And it really is something I'm going to continue to bring up, because losing that money means that the taxes are being raised. And we should not have our taxes raised to cover up money that is being diverted to the township and the county. So I think that you should help them. Because it would be very easy to do, to approach the township and the
You gotta
county.
wrap it up, sir. I'm sorry.
Well, Mr. Pupio, I think if he could do it, if his law firm could do it, I would certainly think that that would be most appropriate. And if you wanted to take a cut of it, I don't think that that would be too unreasonable, but he should have negotiated it in behalf of the school district in our favor in the first place.
Thank you, Mr. Dovey. Okay, moving on. Number 3, Mr. Rhodes.
Motion 3.1, that the following minutes of the regular meeting of the Interboro Board of School Directors held on July 17, 2019 be approved.
Second.
Motion has been moved and seconded. Are there any questions or comments from the board? Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries 5-0. Next, the solicitor's report, Mr. Pupio.
Thank you, Mr. President. Good evening, everyone. Our office for the past month has been consulting with the district on day-to-day student and special education issues, along with Ms. Gomes' firm, any special education litigation. There was also professional development for the administrative council, which was the principals on the 504 plans, and we are currently in the process of developing further professional development for school psychologists regarding IEPs and Section 504 plans. We also reviewed any of the contracts that are on this evening's agendas. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Pupio. Moving on to number 5, Mr. Evans.
From the Office of Finance, motion 5.1 that the treasurer's report for the month ending July 31st, 2019 be approved.
Second.
Motion has been moved and seconded. Are there any questions or comments from the board? Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries 5-0. Next motion, Mr. Evans.
Motion 5.2 that fund disbursements in the amount of $9,858,702.70 be approved.
Second.
Motion has been moved and seconded. Are there any questions or comments from the board? Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries 5-0. Next motion, Mr. Evans.
Motion 5.3 that the budget transfers for the fiscal year 2018-2019 be approved.
Second.
Motion has been moved and seconded. Are there any questions or comments from the board? Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries 5-0. Number 6, any correspondence, Mr. Evans?
No, sir.
Thank you. Moving on to number 7.
From the Office of Personnel, motion that the following personnel actions be approved, starting with 7.1 on page 2 and going all the way to 7.13 on page 5.
Second.
Motions have been moved and seconded. Are there any questions or comments from the board? Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion's carried 5-0. And next up, Mr. Evans.
Motion 7.14, please approve the contract between MZQ Consulting and Interboro School District to provide tracking services related to the Affordable Care Act effective July 10, 2019 through June 30, 2020, not to exceed $2,100 to be paid from district funds.
Second.
Motion has been moved and seconded. Are there any questions or comments from the board? Myself, after talking to Mr. Criscola, I think this is a very good investment, very minimal for what they're going to be covering. So, any other comments? Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries 5-0. Next motion, Mr. Evans.
Motion 7.15, please approve the rates for Infinisource Cobra Services renewal not to exceed $6 per month per participant effective July 1, 2019 through June 30, 2020 to be paid from district funds.
Second.
Motion has been moved and seconded. Any questions or comments from the board? Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries 5-0. Next up, Mr. Evans, number 8.
From the Office of Curriculum and Instruction, motion that the following items be approved, 8.1 to 8.7.
Second.
Motions have been moved and seconded. Are there any questions or comments from the board? Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries 5-0. Next up, Mr. Evans, number 9.
From the Office of Special Education and Pupil Services, motion that the following items be approved, starting with 9.1, going to 9.19 on page 8.
Second.
Motions have been moved and seconded. Are there any questions or comments from the board? Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion's carried 5-0. Next up, Mr. Evans, number 10.
From the Office of Technology, motion that the following items be approved, 10.1 to 10.5, beginning on page 8 and ending on page 9.
Second.
Motions have been moved and seconded. Are there any questions or comments from the board? Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries 5-0. Next up, Mr. Evans, number 11.
From the Office of Facilities, motion that the following items be approved, 11.1 to 11.6.
Second.
Motions have been moved and seconded. Are there any questions or comments from the board? Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion's carried 5-0. Next up, Mr. Evans, number 12.
Motion number 12, that the Board of School Directors approve the agreement with AIG Retirement Services as a provider for Interboro School District effective July 1, 2019.
Second.
Motion has been moved and seconded. Are there any questions or comments from the board? Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Next motion, Mr. Rhodes.
Motion 13, that the Board of School Directors approve the independent contractor agreement between Interboro School District and Justice Security Solutions, LLC for the 2019-2020 school year for the purpose of risk assessment and training related to active threat response and preparedness at a cost not to exceed $10,000 to be paid from district funds.
Second.
Motion has been moved and seconded. Are there any questions or comments from the board?
Comment?
Yes, Mr. Evans.
I'm happy to see that we're moving forward with this initiative, especially in the light of recent events throughout our country. That's it.
Any other comments? Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Next motion, Mr. Evans.
Motion number 14 is a roll call motion that the Board of School Directors approve the MOU between the Delaware County District Attorney's Office and Interboro School District in compliance with the school safety grant requirements.
Second.
Motion has been moved and seconded. Are there any questions or comments from the board? Ms. Caldwell, could we have a roll call, please?
Ms. Bacon? Yes. Mr. Goldsboro?
Yes.
Mr. Harris?
Yes.
Mr. Evans?
Yes.
Mr. Phelps?
Yes. Motion carries 5-0. Next motion, Mr. Evans.
Motion 15 is also a roll call motion to approve the MOU between the, I should say memorandum of understanding between the local police departments from Glen Olden, Norwood, Prospect Park, and Finnecan Township for school years 2019-2020 and 2020-21. The purpose of this memorandum is to establish procedures to be followed when certain specific incidents occur on school property, at any school-sponsored activity, or on any public conveyance providing transportation to or from a school or school-sponsored activity, including but not limited to a school bus.
Second.
Motion has been moved and seconded. Are there any questions or comments from the board? Hearing none, Ms. Caldwell, could we have a roll call on this, please?
Ms. Bacon? Yes. Mr. Goldsboro?
Yes.
Mr. Harris?
Yes.
Mr. Evans?
Yes.
Mr. Phelps?
Yes. Motion carries 5-0. Next motion, Mr. Evans.
Motion 16 is also a roll call motion that the Board of School Directors approve the revisions to the 2019-2020 school year calendar.
Second.
Motion has been moved and seconded. Are there any questions or comments from the board? Hearing none, Ms. Caldwell, could we have a roll call on this also?
Ms. Bacon? Yes. Mr. Goldsboro?
Yes.
Mr. Harris?
Yes.
Mr. Evans?
Yes.
Mr. Phelps?
Yes. Motion carries 5-0. Next motion, Mr. Evans.
Motion 17 is also a roll call motion that the Board of School Directors approve the resolution authorizing the incurrence of non-electoral debt through the issuance of tax-exempt bonds, which bonds shall first reduce the school district outstanding debt service by refunding the Series 2013 A bonds. Second, pay certain costs of capital projects of the school district. And third, pay costs of issuing and insuring the bonds, accept the proposal for the purchase of the bonds, appoint bond counsel, and approve all actions necessary to accomplish the foregoing.
Second.
Motion has been moved and seconded. Are there any questions or comments from the board? Hearing none, Ms. Caldwell, could we have a roll call on this, please?
Ms. Bacon? Yes. Mr. Goldsboro?
Yes.
Mr. Harris?
Yes.
Mr. Evans?
Yes.
Mr. Phelps?
Yes. Motion carries 5-0. Do we have any old business? Hearing none, we'll move on to comments from our superintendent.
Thank you, Mr. Phelps. I do have a number of back-to-school reminders for parents. First and foremost, there are a number of families that have not come into the registration office to satisfy the summer registration requirements. This pertains to all students entering 1st, 3rd, 4th, 6th, 9th, and 11th grades, and also those families who live in a multiple occupancy situation. This process must be completed by Monday, August 22nd, in order for students to begin school on September 3rd. If you have any questions, please do not hesitate to contact the registration office or visit the website. Some additional back-to-school information. I'm just going to work my way through the grades. For pre-K parents, as orientation has taken place, all parents who participated will receive information in the mail regarding their child's placement. Kindergarten packets have been mailed out. If parents do not receive a packet by the end of the week, please contact the Kindergarten Academy. For all students in grades 1 to 8, the Home Access Center will be available to view homeroom teachers on Friday, August 23rd. As all back-to-school information is being sent out electronically in an effort to save on paper usage, we are asking parents to please log in and verify that phone numbers and email addresses are correct. This will ensure that you receive all the necessary information for your child. If you need assistance with login information or have not received any of the test messages that have been sent out, please contact your school office. And finally, the Home Access Center for all of our high school students will be available on Monday, August 26th. And lastly, I would like to welcome Mr. Reed Stubbe to the Interboro School District and administrative team. Mr. Stubbe will be the new assistant principal at Glen Olden School. He will be replacing Mr. Patterson, who will be joining the curriculum team as the new supervisor of K-12 literacy. Welcome, Mr. Stubbe. We look forward to having you join us. Congratulations. And there are my comments. Thank you.
That's it. Mr. Steuben, welcome to the neighborhood. We have high expectations for you. You had a very impressive resume, and we look forward to what you can do at Glen Olden School.
Thank you, I'm excited.
Do we have any comments from the...
Yes, Mr. Phelps, on
Yes,
that announcement.
Mr. Harris.
We need you to save the date. The Aston campus has finally done the project. We're having a ribbon cutting on Wednesday, September 4th at 4:30 at the Aston campus. It's open to everyone, teachers, administrators, janitors, everybody, public, anybody that wishes to attend. That would be Wednesday, September 4th at 4:30 at the Aston campus. We'll be also doing a little bit of a tour of the new facilities. So I hope you can be there. That's all I have.
Any other comments?
Just a quick reminder, I sent out an email, but save the date for the school board members and the superintendent for October 30th. That is the recognition dinner for schools, for Delaware County Community College school districts that sponsor Delaware County Community College. So that dinner will be that evening.
Thank you, Mr. Pittsburgh. Any other comments? Okay, hearing none. On Monday, September 9th, 2019, a Finance Committee meeting with the GBO meeting immediately following will be held at 7 p.m. in the boardroom of the Administration Building. The next work session of the Interboro Board of School Directors will be convened in the boardroom of the Administration Building on Monday, September 16th, 2019 at 7 p.m. The next regularly monthly public meeting of the Interboro Board of School Directors will be convened in the boardroom of the Administration Building on Wednesday, September 18th, 2019 at 7 p.m. Thank you all for coming. The meeting is adjourned.